always believed that trust at work meant something. That when you confide in a coworker, they hold your words with care, not weaponize them behind your back. I thought people only turned cruel when threatened, or jealous, or desperate. I didn't know how wrong I was until the day I heard my own name in a recording I was never meant to hear. The story begins 8 months ago, when I joined a new department after a long internal transfer process. I was excited. Nervous, but excited. New team, new responsibilities, new start. And the person who made that transition feel safe, at least at first, was a coworker named Eric. Everyone liked him. He was charming, easy to talk to, the kind of guy who joked with the interns and stayed late to help the managers. And for the first few weeks, he felt like a friend. He showed me where things were, warned me about outdated systems, and even helped me navigate the unwritten rules of the office. I trusted him. Maybe that was my first mistake. One afternoon, about a month into the job, I stayed late to finish a report. Eric was still there too, pretending to work, but really wandering around the office in that aimless, restless way he had. At one point, I asked him if he knew why my project submissions kept getting delayed in approvals. Every time I sent something to a manager, it sat untouched for days. He sighed dramatically, leaned against my desk, and said, "Honestly, they expect more from you. Everyone thinks you should be performing faster." I remember feeling embarrassed, like I had just failed a test I didn't realize I was taking. He stayed there a while, reassuring me, telling me not to worry, telling me that some people here just have unrealistic expectations. That moment created a bond, or at least, that's how it felt. Over the next few weeks, he became the person I confided in. I told him about how overwhelmed I felt, how I worried I wasn't fitting in, how I was still adjusting. He always listened with this gentle seriousness that made me feel understood. But while he was listening to me, I should have been paying attention to him, because little things started going wrong, subtle things. Comments made by managers that didn't match my conversations with them. Tasks I had supposedly refused. Deadlines I had allegedly ignored. Concerns I had raised aggressively. None of it was true. At first, I blamed misunderstandings. Offices are ecosystems of miscommunication. It's part of the ecosystem. People talk, stories warp, facts shift. But then the patterns formed. People looked at me differently. Meetings became colder. 2 managers stopped including me in discussions I was normally part of. One even asked if I was feeling okay, as if something about my performance had drastically changed. I couldn't understand what was happening. Then came the day everything clicked into place. It was a Thursday afternoon. I was walking past the break room when I saw Eric leaning over our newest intern, Ava. He was smiling, but something about the angle of his shoulders, leaning in too closely, made her look uncomfortable. When I stepped into the room, he straightened immediately. Ava looked relieved to see me. We talked for a minute. Nothing serious. But before leaving, she reached into her bag and said, "Oh, this is yours. You left it in the conference room." She handed me a small office recorder. One of those cheap digital ones people used for meeting minutes before everything went digital. The strange part was, it wasn't mine. I told her that, but she shrugged and said she saw it right next to my seat, so she assumed I had dropped it. I almost left it in my drawer and forgot about it, but something made me check if it had anything saved inside. When I pressed play, I heard voices. Faint at first. Office noise, chairs scraping, papers rustling. Then I heard my name, my full name, spoken in Eric's voice. I froze. He sounded casual at first, but there was an undertone I had never heard from him before. Mean, dismissive, almost mocking. He was talking to someone else, though I didn't recognize the second voice clearly. "She's too emotional," Eric said. "You give her one task with pressure and she melts. Honestly, I don't know why management pushed her in here. She's not built for real responsibility." My stomach tightened. Another voice asked something I couldn't hear clearly. Eric laughed. "She's clueless. I tell her what to do and she still messes it up. I've been feeding management updates so they know what's happening." I stopped breathing. Feeding management updates? About me? I pressed play again, listening to every second. The recording wasn't long, maybe 3 minutes, but it felt like an hour. There were snide comments about my work speed, baseless claims about mistakes I never made, and worst of all, things I had told him in confidence, repeated with theatrical exaggeration to make me look unstable or incompetent. I listened to the recording 3 times, shaking each time I heard my own name spat out like something filthy. I realized then that everything I'd been experiencing, every cold look, every withheld opportunity, was rooted in lies Eric had planted about me. And suddenly, I wasn't confused anymore. I was furious. I wanted to confront him, but something told me not to rush. I needed the truth, proof, clarity, confirmation. So I checked the recorder again and found 3 more saved files. All of them were recordings of conversations Eric had while sitting near me, talking about me to anyone who would listen, especially managers. Every clip was worse than the last. He had crafted a version of me that didn't exist, a version of me that made him look like the hero holding the department together, a version of me he could manipulate for his own advancement. That night, I barely slept. I couldn't stop replaying every moment in my head. Every time he had pretended to comfort me, every time he offered advice, every time he positioned himself as my ally while he was quietly stabbing me in the back. The next morning, I went straight to HR. I sat down with our HR director, a woman named Melissa, who rarely showed emotion. But as soon as I played the recordings, I watched her entire face change. Her jaw tightened. Her eyebrows pinched together in disbelief and mounting anger. She let out one long breath and said, "Thank you for bringing this to me. We will handle it." Her voice was steady, but I could tell she was furious. Within hours, an internal review began. By lunch, people noticed managers whispering behind closed doors. By the afternoon, Eric's badge access had been disabled. He was escorted out of the building before the day was over. Word spread like wildfire. No details, but enough whispers to know something serious had happened. I wish I could say I felt triumphant, that I felt satisfaction watching the man who destroyed my reputation lose his own. But the truth is, I felt relief first. Real relief. Like a weight that had been sitting on my chest for weeks had finally been peeled off. HR later told me that Eric had been manipulating narratives for months, not just about me, but about others before me. He played departments against each other, fed managers false concerns, and used emotional manipulation to climb higher. He was a saboteur hiding behind a friendly smile, a human warning disguised as a coworker. In the weeks after he was fired, the atmosphere in the office shifted. People apologized for doubting me. Managers re-included me in projects. My work was suddenly recognized again. But the biggest lesson I took from all this wasn't about Eric. It was about me. About trusting too quickly, confiding too deeply, believing that kindness always means safety. Now I know better. Trust is precious. And sometimes, the people who smile at you the most are the ones sharpening knives the entire time.